how Delegate Howell got here, and he's like the boss, although he's really the servant of the House of Delegates, is all the delegates get together and select him to represent us. So he's the Speaker of the House of Delegates for everybody. So his is a very different position than the rest of us, and he has more responsibility. So, like St. Paul says, pray for all those in authority, and those who have more authority, they need more prayers, not less. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I attended Catholic schools which were integrated before the public schools. That was in I was born in 1944. There were still horse troughs on the streets, which meant that the city poured water in them because people still rode horses in Washington at that time. The change that I've seen has not always been for the better. The government has changed, not because people have changed, because human nature hasn't changed. When you look in the Old Testament, in Genesis, how did the devil get his way? Did he tell the truth to Eve? No, he didn't. He told the truth in part, that the apple looked good, the tree looked good, but he lied about something. God doesn't want you to eat this because he knows you will be like God. That was a lie. So the devil presented evil in the form of some kind of a good, and that's always the way it happens. So when we deal with these things in Richmond, we always have to look at beyond the appearance. And I want to congratulate all the young folks right here for staying awake through all this. I have difficulty myself sleeping.
But and Louisa, and I wanted not to talk about a bill, but about any specific bill, but about a relationship. A relationship is something that, and I think that's what the bishops have both been talking about, is a relationship is larger than a single incident. It's larger than a single event. How many people in the room are married? Keep your hand up if you've never disagreed with your spouse about anything. I was always wrong. And with some time, I saw the error of my ways. I've been married 27 years to my wife. Not surprisingly, we disagree on occasion. We disagree about profoundly important things, and we disagree about mundane things. But a relationship is larger than a single disagreement. In fact, the strength of a relationship isn't measured in how well you manage your affairs when you agree. The strength of a relationship is how you manage things when you disagree, and when you strongly disagree. Not surprisingly, when you have 100 members of the House of Delegates, we're not always going to agree about the best course of action to solve a problem, even amongst the Republicans that serve together. You're going to find that my friend Jimmy Massey and I, and John O'Bannon and Bob Marshall, we sometimes disagree about what the best course of action is to solve a problem. But we're still friends, in the same way that my wife and I still are happily married after 27 years of rarely disagreeing about things. Okay? I bear witness that Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is the Lord of my life. Jesus Christ is the Lord of the universe. Okay? When I grew up, who's from Highland Springs? You guys, which one of you guys? Who's from Southside here? You guys still all think you live in rough neighborhoods. I heard the coach, heard the bishop say that earlier. You live in rough neighborhoods. I grew up in Cicero, Illinois.
Oh my God, I'm from Chicago.
I grew up in Cicero, Illinois. When I was 4 years old, my grandmother would not let me go outside and play one day because she said there was trouble coming. And the trouble was Dr. Martin Luther King decided he wanted to march in Cicero, Illinois. Right? He marched with freedom marchers in Cicero, Illinois. Cicero, Illinois, you couldn't live in my neighborhood if you were black. You couldn't walk down the street in my neighborhood after dark if you were black, not safely. And 2 blocks east of where I lived, if I went into your neighborhood in West Lawndale, I couldn't go there. I couldn't go there in the middle of the day. I couldn't go there at night, especially. The black kids, I didn't know any black kids when I grew up. They stayed in their neighborhood, we stayed in our neighborhood. I didn't know any Italian kids either because they weren't allowed in my neighborhood because we were all Polacks. Right? We judged each other by labels. We put each other in boxes.
That's right.
And a kid that grew up in my neighborhood, you had to worry which street corner you walked by at night. You had to take a close look at who was on that street corner and whether or not it was safe for you to be on that side of the street or whether you had to get on the other side of the street. We liked it when it got really cold in Chicago because all the hoodlums got off the streets and you could walk safely down the sidewalks. Bishop will tell you that because he's from Chicago. There's neighborhoods you could not go in, not just because of the color of your skin, but how many vowels you had in your last name. Okay? The neighborhood I grew up, kids didn't go to college. I'm the first person in my family to ever go to college. My entire life, when I was your age, people told me, no, you can't. You can't go to college. Nobody from this neighborhood goes to college. You can't be an officer in the military. Nobody in my neighborhood, nobody in this neighborhood is an officer in the military. You might get drafted if there's a war. You might be able to be an enlisted person, but you'll never be an officer. But my father didn't believe that because my father taught me that we're each made in the image and likeness of God. Okay? And that you don't judge people by the color of their skin or by the condition of their conception, or place of their birth, what city block they lived on, or what their last name was, who their father was. You judge people by the content of their character because we're each made in the image and likeness of God.
These guys actually for taking so much time. That actually is an answer to one of my prayers. And this is totally off the cuff. Tom, I have you here videotape. This is not exactly what but I'm just going to speak from the heart. Actually, I'll digress a little bit. When I found out that my delegate voted about 7 or 8 different ways that completely violates family values, I set out 3 years ago to expose his record not only in my own district, but I'll expose that kind of a record all over the United States. And then I happened to meet Coach West, Bishop West, back in October. Gilbert Wilkerson introduced us together, and I thought, wow, we have so much in common. We come from completely different worlds, but yet the same world. We have so much in common. But I want to tell you about my delegate, because I don't know about yours, but I brought all the information where you can find out. Let's find out who's doing this, who's stopping good pro-family legislation, who's supporting it. I found out that my delegate voted against the marriage amendment, which did pass, but no thanks to my delegate. The marriage amendment makes marriage in Virginia only between a man and a woman. Okay? My delegate voted against that. And I'm sorry, marriage is the core unit of any civilized society. Okay? Then I found out that my delegate voted against parental consent on an abortion pill, which is highly toxic. And I sat down with my delegate a year ago. And I'm telling you this because this, I believe, I'm not patting myself on the back, everybody here can do it. This is what needs to happen. I had been writing letters about my delegate in our local paper for 3 years, exposing his record. Some of my former clients would stop me at the post office and say, Terry, I had no idea our delegate.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well, let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how it used to be. Everybody searching for a hero, looking for someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. That's why I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me.